Where's the frog guy? Ain't he supposed to be here telling us stories or something? I don't know. Said he wanted chairs. Don't got any. Too much overhead. Looks like our guy is over at the tavern across the way. Let me open the window to see if I can hear him. He usually shouts his stories anyways. Yup. Got it. What is it? Okay, our froggy pal is saying that when last he spoke, the party bypassed a dangerous scouting party, and that Tamblin, Tamper, discovered that her jerk-ass dad could scry too. She then created a sweet hut out of magic, and that's where the story begins, and these... hey, maybe we just ditch this place and go over and listen, eh? Sounds good to me. Hey, what the hell? Right now, Tazlin, you can see it. This dome of force starts to form around, and with a nice little air escaping, like ceiling, this hut appears before you in like a sort of fantasy debug mode that you can control who can come and go. And
like I'm pulling and dragging and in the air, windows, doors, maybe turn this a little bit, tilt tool.
If you ever played any game where you have to craft some type of housing with my wife, you'll know this is going to take a lot more than 10 minutes.
Hey.
I mean, do we want to can this thing just look like a big rock? I mean, no, I don't want to squash your creativity here or something, but do we just want to not maybe put a house in the middle of Drow country? I'm just saying.
Well, what's interesting is you guys don't necessarily see anything. You see her bouncing around, doing like the Minority Report style, like moving her arms around and spinning things. Like she's even gotten up and started to like craft things, but you don't see anything in front of her. You notice that you're not given. If anything, you just see an absence of anything there until Tazlin, you give them kind of an ability to see the kind of glowy outline form of it.
Yeah, and I'm periodically like kind of glancing around at the surroundings and almost looks like I'm doing calculations in the air, and then eventually it'll be done and I've crafted it to look like one of the glowy trees.
Okay.
But in where there might be like some branches, the branches might look a little awkward, and there's like a little teeny tiny door that almost seems impossible that we'd fit in. But I'm like, I like open it up and I'm like, entrez-vous. It's very, there's an outline and it's very kind of opaque, but it is like a gray and black look to it. But of course it does glow a little bit, so it works.
Well, I'm happy to walk through a weird door anywhere. It's part of, I guess, part of the tiefling idea, right? If we're going back to like sigil and all of that. Sure. Yeah, fine. Let's go. I'll just walk right in.
Yeah. And as you enter, it's roomy, it's dry. The climate is a lot less humid than it is down in the Underdark. Yeah. It's very comfortable, very dry, very tidy.
And there's no walls on the inside. There's no walls. Like, it looks like you just walked into empty space and you can see everything on the outside.
All right, then. Watches and we go. I mean, time's kind of, we just take an 8 and hot bunk this thing and keep going since time is, and I'll check the compass and the watch and see what's happening.
Yeah, for the watch and compass, time is still doing well. The compass is starting to have a little bit more trouble keeping up with you in terms of you stand here, face north, and then it's good. There's a bit more of a delay as it's having a little bit of a harder time dealing with interference. So you're starting to notice some change.
Right. A little bit of compass wobble, gang. Just like was it Edgewater?
That might also be because of the hut. The hut is things can't come in.
Oh, sure.
It can't. It's impenetrable. It's impenetrable. We'll just go with that.
Madam, may I enter your hut?
J'avoue. After you.
Fantastic. All right. Let's do it. First watch boys are ready.
And he walks in, and then I look over to Yusuf, and I'm like, Yusuf, get in here.
I was going to ask, but I wanted to make sure. And he gets in.
So you guys are in your hut, and I need to clarify, did you guys keep going, or did you stop here? Do you still have a day for you guys? So you're just going to chill?
I think we were just gonna, as opposed to pushing ourselves to exhaustion, I think we were just gonna, we can just take 8s because it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, there's no fucking sun to worry about, so let's take 8 and go, and 8 and go, and...
Okay, so yeah, you guys are able to take a rest, and if there's anything you want to do within these 8 hours, it's a bit of time. So you guys can either do some minor checking around the area, keeping an eye out, cleaning your track. Like, you can do a few minor things that wouldn't necessarily interrupt your rest.
Sure. I'll do on a watch, I'll do a bit of a scout out to see if there's anything interesting around. 20 fun.
20 fun. During your walkabout and exploration, you don't notice anything. It seems to be pretty inactive. You see a few creatures here and there come and go, but at least for your end of it, you don't see any activity or any sort of follow-up. So if there were drow trying to follow you guys, maybe they're giving you more time, but it doesn't seem like immediately that they're on your tail.
Okay. Looks good here.
Yusuf is going to stay in the hut just because he's not stealthy, so he'll stay here and just keep an eye out when it's on his watch.
Okay. Which then would bring us to Tazlin. Whatever you wish to do in this little time before you guys move on and do the next leg.
I'm kind of the same. I'll just stay in, especially since it's transparent from the inside, so you can see perfectly fine.
Okay, yeah.
Taz, can we build a fire in here, or is it going to be bad for us?
I mean, you don't really need a fire in here.
I imagine the smoke would probably suffocate everyone.
Yeah, no, I'm thinking about like cooking. I don't know if does it have a stove being a tiny hut, or is it just like a dome that's impenetrable and stuff? Like, I don't know if it, like Galder's tower, you can make one of the floors like a kitchen with stuff in it so you can cook and shit. I didn't know if this had that capability or not.
No, it's just a dome of force, essentially.
Okay.
It's temperature controlled, so like perfect temperature.
But yeah, so we're about at the evening time, roughly around 11-ish, thereabouts. But you're all fully rested and able to move again at another pace if you wish, and go from there.
All right, onward.
Mm-hmm. Onward.
As you guys travel during this next leg, you notice that the area gets a little bit more complicated. Now there's kind of a combination of the previous 2 times. You've got the paths that force you a little ways in a certain direction, and climbing on them and climbing around. There's a little bit more verticality as well as more pathing. It's a little bit more tiring, but not outside of the range of what you would normally do. And as you get down to the end of about the 8 hours, Fetter, your compass, it has the direction for a brief moment and then starts to move around lazily. You can tell where the direction you're facing because it sits there for a second or two, but then starts to wander. So now things are starting to affect it a little bit more. You guys are starting to wind down on this journey. But yeah, you're sitting at about 5 in the morning-ish.
Well, if we're following the distortions, gang, we're getting closer. So I'll keep my eye on the compass and let's see what we find out.
Okay. Are we gonna hut it up again?
Or do we press forward? I mean, I feel like hasn't been quite a full day. We've been quite restful, and let's. I feel hale and hearty.
I'm fine.
Let's see if we can get there.
Taz?
Yeah.
Sunny?
Oh yeah, that should be good.
Yeah, we'll keep going then.
All right.
So then you take another leg. Fetter, roll a perception. Maybe Tazlin, roll. Just basically trying to see how the area is. 21.
21.
I'm going to be actively looking for our drow friend, if that is indeed what he is.
Then roll 2.
Only a 7.
16.
You got Fetter. You notice at first. You do sense that you guys are being followed, but at a distance that is what you would assume to be not aggressive.
Mm-hmm. I'll kind of like with my eyes try to get like Yusuf and Tazlin's attention, and then kind of like without revealing too much, kind of like look in the direction, briefly like glance at it, and then go back to walking and just be like, looks like our friend's on our trail.
Do you say that?
Yeah, like very like under my breath as we're walking.
Okay.
And then we'll keep heading forward.
Okay. Start moving forward. Maybe 10, 15 minutes. Then you notice that they start to get a little bit closer. They're just now starting to test the waters a bit. Do you sense that there's at least some element of them that's getting close enough to try and push boundaries, to try and reach out?
Okay. And I'll just like quietly just like, well, getting a bit bolder. They're closing the distance, so do we stop and address them now, or do we before we're in the thick of it, or do we see what happens when we get where we're going?
Is there a bend coming up at all that we can see? Like a bend in the path, John, or is it a pretty straight?
About 5-10 minutes out, yeah. You're pretty close to... There's a lot more bends in this area, so you have more of a chance to find one, yes.
Right. Is it open cavern, John? Or are we in like a tunnel?
Right now, you're kind of in a bit of an open area that is leading to a few more tunnels. So you're about to get into some tunneling here for a little bit.
Okay.
I mean, depending on what it is, we could either be doing ourselves a favor getting it in close quarters or dealing with it out here where we have more space to move.
Yeah. I mean, who knows what's on the other side of those tunnels, though? I mean, we might as well.
Yeah, you're right.
I abhor a mystery, particularly one that is
Following us?
seemingly creeping up on me in intent.
That's fair. Ladies?
Why not both? We can stop before we get into close quarters.
Sure, but at least have a place to bug out to.
So we enter the cave and then...
No, we don't enter the cave.
Well, no, I mean, if it's slowly coming up on us, we enter the cave and then double back to meet it. So we meet it at the mouth.
I'm tempted to just make a big show of it.
I was just going to stop at the mouth. We don't need to double back. Just
Okay.
worst case scenario, I charm him or her.
Yeah. So I guess we'll move forward that way. As we're moving, I want to try to stealth out a view for them.
Okay.
Oh, not great. He says, not great. 16.
16. Okay. All right. Yeah, so you start to go into stealth. It's hard to tell from where you're at if it works or who it's worked on, but now you guys kind of get yourselves into a position where you can meet them head on. And do you just wait, or do you piss like, hey, guys? Or how are you approaching this?
I mean, I would be like, yo. I would do the big thing.
I'm tempted to stand up on a rock and just be like, hey, but my ego and my roguish nature are both belying themselves at the moment.
Actually, I would be more like, yoo-hoo, big summer blowout.
John, I want to do an eye for detail check to see if there's anybody else potentially with this person or if they're on their own.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, 19 on the die, so that's a 27. 28.
28, wow, okay. It's the whole damn village. No, it's about 4 of them. The one that's closest to you guys is more of a scout. Mm-hmm. A few of them seem a little bit more militarily guys, so heavies, and you sense one that's a little bit more magic-y.
Okay.
Like just the way they carry themselves. You've done this before plenty of times, trying to suss out something that's approaching you. If you want to roll an insight on their postures,
Sure.
That can help.
Yeah, 16.
They seem to be approaching cautiously, but their weapons are not drawn.
Approaching cautiously, weapons not drawn. There's a party of 4. Scout, 2 heavies, and a mage of some sort. I don't know. We palather, try to parlay with them, and maybe I do a lap, try to get around to a flanking spot. What do we think?
Well, like I said, if they wanted to talk, they'd find us, and it seems like that's what they did.
Yeah.
Yusuf's sword is out already at this point, but he's gonna, so are we stopping?
Oh, boy.
You know what? Why not? All right, folks, come on down. Let's chat. I'll just stand up on a rock, take my suit coat off, sit down, light a smoke. Come on, gang. You've been teasing us for 6 hours following up the trail. Why don't you come on and have a seat? Let's talk.
Yeah, immediately, as soon as you shouting out there into the void, they get out of the crouch, they get out of stealth mode, they're just like, They ease up a lot. In fact, they just start casually walking in your guys' direction. They all look fairly similar. White hair pulled back. They're unkempt, the males at least, in terms of facial hair and all that. So you all, without too much needing to roll for survival, I think, can tell that they've been out and about for a while. They don't seem too clean, so they've been on a long tour. First that arrives at the scout. He bows, followed next by 2 slightly taller, more soldiery types. They've got shields, blades, heavier armor, and then in the rear, cautious, is a female drow who has more magical vestments, but still leather armor, movement, no robes or anything like that, but communicates to you guys, a magic user. And as they all arrive and get near you, they don't make any sort of flanking position, they just form a unit in front of you, and the female drow comes out from behind and bows.
Yusuf still has his sword out, but he's gonna cradle it kind of in his arm so that the blade is just kind of going across his elbow, and he kind of holds it. It's just so it's out, but it's not like he doesn't sheath it, but it's at a resting posture.
Okay.
But his hands are folded over the hilt and crossguard as much as he can to try and hide its appearance.
Okay. The female drow stands from her bowing position. Hello and well met. I'm Obera Hassan, and this is my scouting troop. We have been on a journey for a while through this Underdark, and we noticed that you guys were moving about down here, and we don't get too many, and she points to the general head area, of your kind, and then points to the half-orc, to Sunny, or theirs. We wanted to trade information and maybe offer a little warning about something nearby that we've not been able to get a bead on or wanted to address. Can we share information with you? And is there any information that you'd be willing to share with us? We've been on tour for some time.
I'm not sure what information we have to share that would be of use to you.
How's about this? There is a contingent of people that up till previously were looking to retake the Fallhold. Group of cultists, some unknown origin or religious affiliation, seeking to fire the old gal back up for some nefarious purpose. We're gathering arcane equipment to some ill portent. I don't know if down here you guys felt the tremors and the shaking at the new year, but something very similar to that. So I know that they have run into several of what I assume are scouting parties. We saw some drider about, corpses, unfortunately. Totally lying, by the way. But if it's quiet down here, you're used to not seeing us. You may soon be used to seeing a lot more other folks. We're here on a very particular purpose with, I believe, an ancient friend that lives right down over that ridge, through these tunnels. We'd love to know anything you know about that. But yeah, there are people gathering here. And we are hoping to, again, dissuade them from taking up residence and end the plot that they're currently working towards. So that's about best I can offer you, and I feel like that's a pretty good number, considering that you're obviously out in the perimeter of your realm trying to protect it and gather information. So I would appreciate anything you know, and yeah.
I agree, kobolds. That was a lot of free information.
There's no reason to there's no reason to bullshit with these guys.
Beryl, she smiles, relieved almost. You get a sense that maybe they're used to not being trusted, or she is at least.
Yeah.
She seems to be a little bit more worldly compared to the troop behind her. Mm-hmm. She smiles and offers that is a lot of information, and we will repay in kind. You came from the Fallhold. That has been emptied for a while. We are aware of it. There's always that adage that it doesn't stay held for long. So we haven't bothered to send anything there, and frankly, we haven't wanted to invite any attention to us. We are mainly here to suss out monstrosities. That is the main threat we are currently seeking. We are seeking an Elder Oblex that seems to be going around and taking random folk who travel these parts or creatures and sapping them of the memories. We wanted to initially warn you of that, but also you seem to be heading into the direction of the Titanfall. Those of us at Montcheribon, where we live, we have many stories of that place, where the giant Titan was slain. A lot of bad energy there. We wanted to make sure that you knew what you were getting into, and to offer that even though we cannot go with you, we can maybe offer some supplies. We have a few before we return our journey back to our city. We can offer some tools, some things like that, along maybe trade. Now, I understand that our generosity is at once suspicious. We tried to at least give you some inkling that we did not wish to hurt you. We tried to leave enough of a clue to our whereabouts that maybe it wouldn't seem as aggressive. And she looks at her scout. He can sometimes be a little bit excitable. But if you wish, we can set up a camp. We can provide you some real food. We've hunted some great game. We can run a fire. There is safety in our numbers, so we do not have to worry. And if there's anything you want to know from us in terms of down here, we can help out. I think one of our scouts has been down to the Titanfall, but they've had ill to speak of it. But please, and she points to the ground, if you wish, we can give you more information, exchange goods. And she points to her soldiers, her 3, and just like gives a flick of the wrist, and they form kind of a defensive perimeter. They look around outside of you guys, and they are now actively scanning around. So there is a little bit of they've got us in kind of a bubble here, you guys in a bubble of safety for the time being.
Right. Right on then. I'll pull into my pocket and pull out one of the yellow sapphires that we came across down by the Odiak. Well, we don't have much, but we do have a couple things we could trade in kind. And I'll toss the sapphire at her.
She catches it and looks it over. This is very beautiful. I will take a look and see. She snaps her finger, and the scout comes in with his assortment of bags and things. And given how much he's carrying, you're surprised that he has been as stealthy as he has. In fact, it's like it gives more credence to the fact that he's actually pretty good. But there's like bags all over and satchels and things. He starts pulling stuff out. And there's the basic sort of rations, some tools, some other implements of travel around here, a few potion bottles. And you also notice, as they kind of get comfortable, that you sense more of the stuff they've carried. One of the soldiers has a bag on his back. Another one has a creature slung across its back, just the remains of one. If you want to do a nature check, you can see what that is.
It's not really my bag, but I'll roll for it. It's an 11.
Not bad. You recognize the lizard-like legs and appendages of a basilisk.
Yeah, it's one of those sweet boys. Can I just do, as I'm like talking them over, I want to do just an eye for detail on them, anything they're actively trying to hide from me, or anything of note that would be, noticeable on their persons. 16.
They seem a little bit more protective of some of the more basic supplies that they have for their journey.
Mm-hmm.
So out of the generosity that they seem to have enough of an overflow of stuff to barter in this way. But almost as soon as they offer that, they've also hidden the basic food that they need to get back. A lot more of the basics. So they're showing you stuff that they want you to see. And like some of the potions that they've got, the basilisk carcass on one of the bags. Everything that they're doing is that they're only showing you what they want available to you. So there's more stuff, but you don't get a sense that it's nefarious so much as, hey, we don't know you guys. This is what you can see.
Right on. Well, have your scout come down and tell us what you can of the Titan.
The scout comes down. He starts to speak up, but she holds a finger out, just like, wait, you may address them now. And she sits back, and the scout comes up. Oh, okay. It's nice to meet you. I'm Jaxler Maxton, scout here for this company. I was the most recent to go down to the Titanfall just to explore, to get a sense of things, and there's a lot of bad stuff down there. And I mean, how do I explain this? And he looks around to his compatriots, like he's trying to find a good way to describe it. A lot of air of death. There's a lot of death, decay, and I've been only as far as the beach that leads to it, but there's a lot of bad stuff there, and I would caution, if you have the ability to and implements to swim or anything along those lines and traverse great bodies of water, that would be useful.
So it's an underground lake, you're saying?
Yes. And as best as I could tell, just from the bit I was able to scout out, there's various pockets, and then there's a main basin, a larger body of water. Presumably, you should be able to see the fingers of a hand of the giant one, the statue, but that's very deep in there. And
deep, you mean inward, or deep as in down?
Inward, not down. The hand extends out. If you were so lucky to get down there and can see in the water, you might be able to see some of the broken face. My scouting was cut short as I was accosted by a few sea creatures that seemed to communicate like we do and seem to be a little bit more organized. They did not seem to enjoy my presence, so I left.
When you say creature, that's size, description?
He looks towards Yusuf, roughly more along that build in terms of thickness, and more along your end, he points to you, Fetter, of height, a little bit taller, a little bit stockier, very long, elongated fin, and sharp facial features. So there seem to be some creatures who do live in society down there. They did not respond well to us, though. But that's about the best I could gather.
Well, thank you. And what of supplies? Anything we need, gang?
Do you have anything that allows breath underwater?
They look, which means I'm looking. The leader, Oberl, she shakes her head. Would that we did. We don't do much water travel. At which point, just seemingly out of nowhere, Sunny chimes in. I would need to spend a night in prayer, but I could give us some water breathing if we needed. It's, we would be the test subjects. She looks off to the side and just, you'd be the first ones I would do it on. So there's risk, but all my spells have worked so far.
Fair.
Sounds good.
The female drow, though, she does point out, too. She hands a red bottle to you, Fetter. We do have one regular healing potion we can give you, though. The others that we have are for my my soldiers behind me, so they're off limits. And immediately, the other bottles are gone. Like, those ones for them. But we can offer this as an edge if you need it, in case you are running low. You said you came from Fallhold. Is it under ownership? Is it...
Yes.
Do they have ill intent for the place?
No, I think that it's all shored up. I think things there are good. And anyone that would take up residency now would intend you no harm.
If that is the case, would there be cause or interest in a relationship, a scouting/mercantile relationship, trade, news? We are always looking out for whatever keeps Montcheribon safe, but also furthers trade. You seem trustworthy enough.
I'm sure we could come to terms, and like Fetter's eyes light up just a little bit.
When she says the city name and Fetter's like, yeah, we can come to terms, Taslin walks away.
She walks away?
Yep.
Okay. Just out of earshot, past, like, how far are we talking?
Yeah, probably like out of earshot, kind of maybe into the cave or something like that. Not terribly far, but enough to be away from this conversation.
Okay.
Excuse my friend. I'm sure we could come to some agreeable terms. We're a people that enjoy things spelled out very clearly in writing, and happy to, I'm sure. But unfortunately, I don't think now is the appropriate time to draw out such negotiations. Once we've resolved our business, perhaps we can come find you at Montcheribon, you say? Or you can send an emissary to the hold, and we can palather and perhaps draw up terms there in more auspicious conditions.
Indeed. And also, that is the thing I must report on. All I need to know is that it is a distinct possibility, and I can go from there and report that back. This can be something that takes time. And it's not our mission. It's not the primary focus of our scouting. We want to deal with the Oblex and go from there. But I sense you have much to talk about, and if there's nothing more you need, we may be on our way. We do not want to keep you from your mission. We offer the utmost caution going forward.
I'm gonna do one last insight check on this dude, or on this lady. On an 18.
Okay.
Like do I get the sense she's gonna run back and tattle that she ran into us, or that anything she said hasn't been on the level?
Surprisingly, it's been on the level. You get a lot of, she wants to get back. Maybe more so her than anyone else. Mm-hmm. She wants to get back to her sisters, to her place of position of honor versus scouting, which maybe seems a bit beneath her. You're getting a little bit more of a classist, sort of haughty. She's out here because she was made to go out here with that.
Hey, I know that one. Yeah, I get it. I'm the errand boy. I get it.
I would love to get back and take care of other business that is maybe more pressing than a wild goose chase.
Sure.
With an Oblex that seems to be only out there wandering and not causing any real harm other than memory loss.
Yeah, well, I appreciate the information and not jumping out at us in the night. May you travel safely back to your home, and perhaps we can converse further when our business is concluded.
Indeed.
John, how much meat did Sunny have when she collected it? Like
enough for you guys for about a day or so, and then the stuff that the drow have offered you should get you through this next leg through Titanfall.
Got it. Okay.
Because they have a much more generous storage of animals that they've hunted and things like that, and that they've had that readily available for you guys to exchange as much as you need. And yeah.
Okay.
What was the mage's name again?
The mage's name was Oberl Hilsen, and I'm going to spell that because I'm saying it weird with a lisp that I didn't intend. Oberl, Oberl, and Hislen, Hislen. I keep goofing the L and the S with my with my speech.
Well, thank you, O'Barrel, and safe travels. We will hopefully see what's out there at the Titanfall, and if we see you on our way back, we'll offer a report.
Thank you very much. May we come to future agreements that are beneficial to all. And even though it's a bit broken as she's matching your guys' language, you sense that it's part of a saying that she gives. And she bows, she snaps her fingers, and the other 3 male drow, they also bow, they turn. They're very courteous, and they start to move out and get back into a formation and start to move back. Some focusing on what's ahead of them and some keeping an eye on you. Very cautionary, very basic, standard scouting. And they start to leave, leaving you guys alone.
I'll look around and then headed back after Taz. When we catch up, I'll be like, hey, you okay?
Yep, just fine. Just don't need to deal with them.
Is this Raven Queen shit? Or is this other shit?
Other shit? They're anybody from that city, relatively, actually, any drow down here is not the best to deal with. But I just needed to avoid it, so.
Fair enough. And I'll look at the group and I'm like, listen, I hope I wasn't too forthcoming with them, but I figure that if the combined forces of the Drow City are on the hunt for our cultist friends, it's just, more sets of eyes against our problem.
If it weren't for the fact that that culture just uses, I probably would agree, but it's more than likely our extra set of eyes is going to become more of a take everything we have and enslave us situation.
Yeah, I mean, I'm from Dis, like, same. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I have no moral high ground to stand on at this point. Like, we would, if I had my way, if we weren't on our quest and doing this, I would half try to do the exact same thing to them. And I just might. So, I mean, enslavement's icky, right? But binding contracts, so, whatever. We got some info. They're on their way. We'll deal with the rest when we deal with it. I think in the moment, no reason to be unnecessarily sneaky and shady. But obelisks. What do we know about obelisks? What is? And fish people? Fun, exciting.
Yeah, I'll look at Sunny and be like, does that your description of whatever those beings were? Does that sound familiar to you at all? Just because I figure she's trained in knowledge nature, she might know.
Oh, good old knowledge nature.
She thinks for a moment, by which case Oh, nice. A good roll for once. Holy crap. Okay. Could be merfolk, but the description seems a bit wrong. Oftentimes in cavernous bodies of water, you will find just communities of merfolk, just, making civilization out of old broken things. I mean, but again, what they were describing seemed vicious, seems almost monstrosity versus that. So it doesn't quite seem right, but that would be my guess. Maybe there's evil merfolk. I don't get a lot of sea creatures I deal with too much.
I mean, evil's kind of a subjective term, right?
Says the evil aligned character in the group.
The big smile. I mean, and if they're looking for some old broken thing to build a civilization out of, they found the most old and the most broken. So, bully for them. Joey?
Judging from your compass/clock, you're getting about the 1-2 p.m. time frame.
Sure.
So you guys are on the second leg that you've gone past, and you guys are about to the place where I would make a rest. You would probably want to rest because the conversation with the drow and all that, you're running on fumes.
One last night in the hut, and then we go fishing. And I look around to the gang.
Sounds good.
Sounds good. Pull out the book.
I'm gonna get used to this hut. I think I'm gonna enjoy this hut.
Sunny agrees. Yeah, like I'm a fan of this.
The outside looks more like a rock this time than a tree.
Any particular rock shape you're going for, or just a rock outcropping kind of look?
A rock outcropping.
Okay.
No Michelangelo or anything like that. Where we just crawl into the butt. The door's in the butt.
God.
Oh yeah, just right up the butt. Yeah.
The door's the butt.
This is my piece called "In Through the Outdoor."
Oh, God.
So yeah, you take your 10 minutes. Then the hut again is made. It's now a different shape, a rock. Sadly, not Michelangelo's butt. And yeah, you guys find yourselves back in the very even and air-controlled hut to rest and do what you need to.
So since we're going to rest, and before we go in, since we're in somewhat of a cavernous area, I'm going to have Sunny lay out the meat on whatever we can find clean, like a stone or whatever. And I'm just going to flaming hands it just to cook it up a little bit.
Yeah,
and
just
then,
a light sear. Just, a little salt, little pepper, and nice light sear on each side.
there you go.
Don't overdo it. Just a little hot rock.
Should touch the grill. Should touch it, but still have an echo of a moo.
Of a moo, yeah. I was actually thinking maybe I'd cast Flame Blade instead and then just sear it and flip it.
I look at Tazlin and I was like, and I'm just like, you don't have to overdo it for us. Raw's not the worst thing.
Just Burger Town that shit.
And yeah, Sunny's totally there to help you with that and is very interested in how you're using those weapons for that. Oh, that's an interesting way to use that. And then, yeah, so while you're doing that, is you guys are going to do watches or just kind of rest in the hut?
I mean, the way this hut is designed, we don't necessarily need to do a watch. If we're in it, we can all sleep.
Right.
Nothing can get in once it's closed up.
That's fair.
Yeah, but I'll still, out of my own curiosity and my own sense of wanting a tiny bit of time to myself, I'll do a first watch. Go out for a smoke, because smoking in the hut seems like, bad form.
You want to hotbox it?
You're hotboxing the hut.
The air's so acrid.
So then, for sake of it, if the hut's in play, watching is optional to whoever would want it. I would say you don't have to. If you do, you'll get information. Just keep that in mind. If you're going to not use the hut, watch as normal, but it's going to be a little bit more loosey-goosey with the hut, because it's not you won't necessarily get attacked, but you might see things around that could not realize you're there, and you pop out of this nowhere and be like, holy shit, let's attack. So
Yeah, I'm happy to do a watch.
sure, you can roll your stats. Tazlin and Yusuf, do you guys rest, or are there things you do in the meantime?
Yusuf is going to take some time, since we don't have to worry about watch and we have a couple of hours. He's going to clean his armor and clean his gear, because he hasn't done it in a while.
Okay.
I got a 26 in my perception check.
Okay. While this is going on, while you're taking your 8 and during your watch, you do notice that the drow scouting party, they do stay nearby enough. You get a sense that they're doing a pattern, just either it's a courtesy keeping you safe, or they're just trying to make sure that nothing happens because they were there.
Right.
Given the way the rounds are and how they're keeping a watch, it seems a little bit more like this could be a good investment. Let's make sure that we didn't just lead something here, or heaven forbid that the Obelix was following them and we missed it. So there's some housekeeping in terms of scouting that they're doing. So they're still around, but you sense that they're done by around the time your watch or your portion of it ends, and that you sense that they're moving on. And then Yusuf and Tazlin, at a certain point, both of your guys' eyes get a little droopy. Yusuf, you jerk back and open your eyes like, oh, was I dozing? To find yourself standing on a smooth stone surface in about a foot of water. In a not too far distance in the dark, you see 5 pillars that extend skyward but fade before you're able to determine where they stop. You also hear a low snarl sound emanating from the direction of one of the pillars. And at one point, you think you see red eyes looking at you. In the middle of this place where you are, you suddenly see the form of Eldeth glide up out of the water. As she looks around, you notice her vibrance is all but gone. All that flowiness, the bright lights, the white, all that's just not there. In fact, she looks more human here than she's ever looked before, in your limited scope of experience with her. And she has a hard time keeping focus of you in your direction. And after maybe a moment or two of this, you do hear, "You are getting close to this hand of the dormant titan. I will not be able to see you here, I fear, and may not be able to help. Already, the hubris of the Shadowfell brings about ruin. The Whispered One guides her hand and invites the abyss into her world. She points into the general direction of you, and you assume it's the seed because it's keyed in on where you would naturally hold it. If you plant this as I have asked, I will burn out what remains of the soul that resides in this stone, freeing it from the chaotic shadow that draws its power into itself. This will become a mere testament to our complicated past and nothing more. In turn, I will bring life back to the water, and I will be able to heal its broken inhabitants. She starts to flicker a little bit, not digital flicker, but more of, you look, she's gone from the periphery of you, and then she's back, inconsistently placed. She's not exactly there. You're having a harder time focusing on her even. I don't have much time before connection is shorted. If you have anything you wish to ask of me to know, now is the time. I have time for one. And she starts to lose some of her shape. You get the sense that you have about enough time to ask one thing or put an inquiry out or a favor or something along those lines before she breaks this connection or whatever this thing is that's going on with you.
He points to the red eyes that's on top of one of the pillars. He says, "What is that? What am I facing?"
She looks, and it was once but a foul tressum. And the snarl does get louder and more gnarly and growly and then pop. You're like, either you dozed or you just lost focus or something. Your like face is like right against some of your armor that you've been washing. Like, you're just like, what is this? It's the weirdest fucking thing. And while that's going on, Taslin.
All right, buckle up.
A similar situation happens. You don't necessarily know that it's happening to Yusuf, but in whatever task you're doing, you get a sense of, I just need to shut my eyes for a second. Holy shit, I am somewhere else. It just happens almost immediately. It's very stark.
The whole like world tilt shift, boom, somewhere else kind of thing. Yep.
Yes. You find yourself in a darkened chamber in the deep recesses of a forlorn castle that is you've never seen before, but at once feels familiar to you. And at a throne in the far back, you see the Raven Queen sitting. Her face is still masked in porcelain, although the cherubic face that you know and are very familiar with is cracked and peeling apart. As she grips her throne armrests, you see a right hand that looks old, rotted, with skin that seems to be continually melting away yet never completely leaving her. An eternal melting. Before her, you see the corpses of the creature you faced in Trust, the frog-like creature that was communicated to you as a slod. You see a few corpses of those sticking around, and the one in front of her directly has a very elongated, smoky, shadowy blade sticking out of its where the torso would be on the ground. And the form oozes black, the blade oozes black, her hand also oozes black, and as you get your sense in your bearing, you see that the place has a feel that's wrong. But she herself is staring directly at you, and she looks at you expectantly, as if waiting for you to speak, to move forward, or to communicate in some way.
You might as well take the mask off. I know what you look like now.
She reaches up, hesitantly at first, with the hand that is rotted, and she struggles to control it and pulls off the mask. And you see the face you're familiar with, the very elongated ears, the more deep fey elf-like visage that you've seen in the statues. The big thing, though, the startling thing visually for you is the scarring around the left eye, which is massive, covers part of the face, and you've got a yellow eye and a more elongated pupil. And the scarring looks like it's expanding, it's pulling at her face more so like if you were to pull for yourself in the mirror your eye out, it's at once scarred and stretching. And she finally does communicate to you. The power of the Titan gives me enough strength to fight back against my enemy. Even now, as he burrows deeper into my will, should the connection sever and her real hand vibrates, I fear for my longevity And she stands and walks over to you, crushing the body of the Slod. Not stepping over it, gingerly on it. She just steps on it as if it's nothing to her.
My kind of girl.
And she reaches out to you, and you see something flicker in the wrong eye. And that both hands start to try and form around your throat. And the eye here curls in like rage and anger as she fights it. And just when the cold hand of her and the slimy hand of whatever else is fighting get around your throat, you snap back. It's startling. You may even have shrieked. I don't know.
Probably definitely a gasp and just, and then hands around the throat kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah. And you also hear something similar from Yusuf if he does so. Fetter, I would say this would be a lot more startling to you than you've ever seen them. For visions or visions, whatever, like, oh, or like a sneeze, but this would be more shocking, more startling, like someone's just gone into a seizure, or there's something that it's unnerving. It's different.
It's a loud, abrupt gasp. Yeah.
Yeah, if that happens, I think like you see that, and then it slammed cuts to Yusuf's face, and he's looking off in a completely other direction, and it just goes as he is like coming to out of realizing that he's standing with his armor in his hand, and the cloth that he was polishing it with is like, shit.
That was so cool, like how Eldath was all like, do this for me, and then the Raven Queen was all like, no, do this for me. Yeah, I appreciate the precarious situation our heroes are in. I hope they fight. Oh, I hope they find a way to work together. What? So I went over and listened as well. So friggin' what? Look, I'll get some goddamn chairs so we can listen to more of these demon days. Alright? Sounds good to me. Shut up. And yeah, unless it's any final moments,
No,
that's where we'll end it.
Great. That sounds perfect.
I saw Johnny's face get real excited there.
In Skypoint, not Skypoint,
Edgewater? Trust?
drawing a blank, brain fart. Yes, trust.
It's okay. I couldn't
trust.
remember
Okay.
the city name earlier either. So
Yeah.
That we came across down by the obelisk. And the no, it wasn't Hook Horrors. What was it?
The
Oh
obelisk?
no, the Odiuk. Sorry, the Odiuk.
Odiuk. You and I had trouble with that.
Yeah.
Okay.
you didn't bring murlocs into this world, did you, John? Do we need to...
In the distance, in the fading distance, you hear an echo. And then, like, you get swarmed, and they're all like... And then you die a bunch, and it's World of Warcraft, woo! What? Dave. It's okay, I'll let you out soon, alright? Just chill. Sorry. And... Yusuf, you're still working on your armor. You're just like, I'm going to take a little bit of time
here we
to
go.
shut eye,
Here we
rest,
go.
Tazlin. You're reading, and Dave, shut up. Hold on, I got to let him out before I do this.
Hi, Dave.
The suspense of, okay, here we go. Dreams getting forced on us, and the cat is like, let me just
All right.
make you wait.
Cat's like, I don't want to be here.